All right, let's dive into a little bit of reflection around consistency and discipline toward achieving those big goals that you have. In the newsletter, we talked about that notion of inspiration around an idea or a goal or a vision of transformation that you have for yourself. And that is always the exciting moment, right? When you're like, oh, wait, I want to, right? This desire represents itself to me. It always feels really exciting. It's the newness, right? It's the novelty of something that is just presenting itself. And it can captivate the creativity, can captivate the imagination. Once that starts to fade, which it will, guaranteed, even if it ebbs and flows, peaks and valleys, it will not sustain itself. That notion of sort of the ignition point, that catalyst of inspiration. Once that starts to fade, then what, right? It's real easy to the beginning to be like, okay, I got to do this and this and this, and then this will happen and this will happen and this will happen. But once you've compiled the list of people to reach out to, once you've reached out to them, once you've bought those running shoes, once you've, upgraded the software in your computer, all those things, then the work begins. And the work is oftentimes arduous and uninspired. This is where practice is going to be fundamental. It is the process of building habit, both in routine and in behavior. It takes sustainability to accomplish something over the long term. I'll give you an example. When I was writing my book, one of my daily habits is reading every morning. I read every morning. That's how I start my day. When I was writing my book, I replaced time that I had already dedicated, that reading time, I actually replaced that with writing time. The notion of building out an hour plus to write in addition to my reading time, my meditation time, my workout time, my friend time, in addition to running my company, creating new projects, it was unrealistic. And oftentimes I think we have this overambitious notion that we will be able to do it all, and we just can't. So first and foremost, you're human, you're not a robot. You have a finite amount of energy, a finite number of moments in the day. Use them and choose them wisely. And they don't all have to be filled, right? That burst of inspiration can feel urgent. Once that urgency has sort of chilled out, now it's about thinking about sustainability. And that will really be around what can I do consistently that feels achievable and incremental toward allowing me to achieve my goal. So for my book, I would write every morning for 1 hour. And then at the end of the day, I would review what I'd written for 1 hour. So I built in 2 hours of dedicated time around my book. And this was for a finite period of time. This did not extend forever. This was over a 6-month period that I was very diligent. And I was able to, as a result, write what I think is a pretty amazing manuscript. That's sort of the broad scope of the overall project or goal vision and how to be consistent and diligent in the implementation and execution of achieving that. Day to day, everyone has their own system here, but I got to tell you, I am a huge fan of lists. There is something so satisfying about checking things off a list. At the start of my day or even the night before, I'll look at who I have to connect with, what sort of tasks I need to accomplish, chart them out in my calendar, and I keep them running. I don't always check everything off every day, but I'll even add things on there like meditate, read, work out, clean my house, do laundry, because I am someone where I will get really just immersed in a project and forget to do basic life maintenance. So I add those things to my list. It makes it feel manageable. And again, checking it off allows you to feel accomplished, like you've done something. Because again, once that spark of inspiration wears off, the notion of incremental achievement will be like giving yourself that little reward of chocolate at the end of the day. There's just something so sweet about the ingestion of achievement and accomplishment. So be kind to yourself, be disciplined, be dedicated, and be consistent. Practice and all is coming. Consistency of practice is what will make that practice come alive into something that feels tangible, like something has come to fruition. An example I use in my book is the notion of learning how to play the piano, right? So when you first start to play the piano, you're like, beep, 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 beep. You sit down the piano every day and you're like, and sometimes you're like, I don't even know if this sounds right. And then all of a sudden, 6 months later, you're really dancing across the keys and playing something really wonderful. So similarly, regardless of what it is you choose to pursue, that level of consistent dedication, often uninspired and arduous, don't get it twisted. This will not be a magical adventure. Sometimes it will feel like, but sometimes it will not be. Really, it's about finding that internal fortitude to